What a crazy year it has been for Solo Sikoa. This man has had arguably one of the most intense but one of the most incredible years that anyone could ever have in WWE history. But his time in WWE goes back quite a ways a bit. This all started in in the fall of 2021 when Solo Sikoa made his long anticipated debut attacking Grayson Waller at Halloween Havoc. Excuse me. Excuse me. He was only in NXT for only a full calendar year before getting called up to the main roster, costing Drew McIntyre the WWE title at Clash of the Castle in Cardiff, Wales. He then went on to become NXT North American champion, but only to be forced to give up the title because he was never scheduled to be the number one contender. But since then, Solo Sikoa had been very dominant, having been in the ring with some of the all-time greats that WWE has to offer, including guys like John Cena, Cody Rhodes, and WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio. However, from Clash at the Castle in Cardiff until WrestleMania 40, Solo Sikoa was very loyal to the original Bloodline that featured himself, Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and the wise man Paul Heyman. All five men competed inside War Games together in 2022, and at that time, they went up against the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens. All five of which had their issues with the Bloodline in some form or another. Solo Sikoa's journey to being a solo act and being his own leader, if you will, escalated at WrestleMania 40 when it took Seth Rollins, John Cena, Jey Uso, and Seth Rollins to not Seth Rollins, and The Undertaker for Cody Rhodes to defeat Roman Reigns and finally become the WWE champion. Not only did this usher in a new era for WWE and for professional wrestling, this also incited Solo Sikoa's reign of terror as the tribal chief. This lasted until January of this past year. On the SmackDown after WrestleMania, Solo Sikoa brought in Tama Tonga, arguably one of the most dangerous individuals in all of professional wrestling. Once was a member of the faction in Japan known as the Bullet Club, now ended up joining the new Bloodline. Once we got into Backlash in Lyon, France, last year, Solo Sikoa had a backup plan, and that was in the form of Tama Tonga's brother, Tonga Loa. This incited the long-anticipated debut of the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu. This was one debut that everybody wanted to see for a long time, but the only reason why they waited till that night to debut Jacob Fatu was because of his demeanor, I guess, if you will, his personality, I will say. But obviously this led to Solo Sikoa pinning Cody Rhodes at Money in the Bank for the right to challenge Cody for the WWE title at SummerSlam, which also incited the return of Roman Reigns, which was one thing that we did not expect. We never expected Roman Reigns to come back, but he did, which led to obviously Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns teaming up against Solo Sikoa, and I believe Jacob Fatu, if I remember right. I believe I am correct. I still have my book, and I believe that was what happened. Let's see. Crown Jewel, Halloween Havoc, Bad Blood. Here we are. Yep, I was right. Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa versus Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Reigns was the one that pinned Solo with a spear. To win that massive tag team match. This led to obviously the OG Bloodline and the new Bloodline going at it in a series of one-on-one matches, tag team matches, backstage brawls, and everything else in between. Obviously, CM Punk got involved because of the fact that the new Bloodline put Paul Heyman through a table on SmackDown in Madison Square Garden. This led to the Bloodline Civil War Games at Survivor Series last year. And it all escalated this past January on the Raw premiere on Netflix, where it was Tribal Combat. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and and it literally took Reigns everything. It took Jimmy Uso. It took Sami Zayn. It literally took everything. Even Cody Rhodes, if you can believe it. It also took Cody Rhodes for Roman Reigns to pin Solo Sikoa and become the true and OTC1 tribal chief. That would be Roman Reigns. Once The Rock handed Roman Reigns the Ulafala, we all thought that was the end of the Bloodline story. In a way, it was. For a brief moment, it was. Because of the fact that Tongaloa had gotten both Tongaloa and Bronson Reed had gotten injured inside War Games, and they were not supposed to come back for at least another another 3 to 5 months. As I stated, we all thought that it was going to be the end of the Bloodline story, and in a way, it was. But over time, and from that night on Raw, here in my hometown of LA, inside the Intuit Dome, leading towards WrestleMania, we all thought that it was the end of the Bloodline story. Obviously, Roman Reigns kept mentioning the Ulafala in his promos. And this led to obviously the Royal Rumble. Punk eliminated both Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Logan Paul ended up eliminating CM Punk. This led to a massive brawl between all three, which culminated at WrestleMania on night 1, where we saw Paul Heyman do the unthinkable of stabbing both CM Punk and Roman Reigns in the back to team up with Seth Rollins. Going back with Solo Sikoa. Solo saw Jacob Fatu become the United States champion and held on to the title for quite a while. This led to WWE Backlash in St. Louis, Missouri, where we saw the debut of Jeff Cobb, aka JC Mateo, which was something that we never expected. We did not think that Jeff Cobb would be with WWE, considering the fact that his time with the promotion known as AEW had just been up. There have been rumors for months that Cobb's contract with AEW was going to expire right around the time of WrestleMania, and indeed the rumors were true. But there were also rumors that we were never going to see Jeff Cobb sign with WWE, as the rumors stated that he was going to be going back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. But unfortunately, the rumors were just that, and both Solo Sikoa and Jeff Cobb helped Jacob Fatu retain the United States title. This led to, obviously, Solo Sikoa talking shit about Jacob Fatu, but behind his back, which up until Night of Champions last night, the rest is pretty much history. Solo Sikoa has had quite the interesting run as his own leader on SmackDown in WWE. But last night at Night of Champions, we saw the shocking return of Tonga Loa and the shocking debut of Hikuleo, or as he's now being known in WWE as Tala Tonga, which I don't know why. I don't know why he's going to be called Tala Tonga, but it is what it is, and I think it's kind of stupid in my personal opinion. But I do love the idea that Hikuleo and Jeff Cobb are now finally in WWE, because now they get to showcase who they truly are as performers, and who knows, maybe we might see them cut a couple promos at some point. But this brings the question of why. Why is Solo Sikoa trying to resurrect the Bloodline story? At this point in time, there's no point. There's no point in Solo Sikoa bringing back the Bloodline story when in reality the Bloodline story is pretty much dead. It's basically dead at this point. Think of all of the evidence that proves that the Bloodline story is dead, and Solo has no business bringing it back. For one, Cody Rhodes, when he won the 2023 I can't speak. The moment he won the 2023 Men's Royal Rumble, Cody told Roman that the moment you lose the WWE title, this was his words to Roman: Jay's gonna leave you, Jimmy's gonna leave you, Solo's gonna leave you, Paul Heyman will be just another advocate, and you will be in again. These are Cody's words. These are Cody's words to Roman Reigns. You will be a chief without a tribe, and a Roman without any reigns. Those were his words. And in a way, that was basically the prelude to the end of the Bloodline story. Because night one of WrestleMania, the Usos lost the undisputed tag team titles to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, even though they helped Roman retain his title against Cody the next night. Once that weekend came to a close, Roman got so upset that the Usos lost that Roman said that he and Solo would go after the tag team titles. This obviously led to Jimmy Uso attacking Roman Reigns at Night of Champions less than 3 months later, which obviously led to Jey Uso leaving, and this led to Jey Uso getting a third. Think about that, a third opportunity at the WWE title against Roman Reigns. This time it would be tribal combat. This obviously led to Jimmy Uso rejoining the Bloodline, stabbing his own twin in the back. Obviously we know that Jey ended up leaving. He ultimately left the Bloodline, left SmackDown, and he got traded over to Raw thanks to Cody Rhodes. And since then, Jey has been his own man. Tag team champions with Cody, Royal Rumble winner, Intercontinental champion, World Heavyweight champion, King of the Ring semi-finalist. In fact, he got third place in this year's King of the Ring tournament, losing ultimately to the eventual King, Cody Rhodes. Another piece of evidence that shows proof of the end of the Bloodline story was obviously the Bloodline Civil War games. Originally, the original idea, and this was only speculation here, folks. Only speculation. There were rumors that 3 people were supposed to be a part of the OG Bloodline to go up against the new Bloodline. Those 3 names were Lance Anoa'i, Zillafat 2, and there was one other person. I don't know his name. I can't think of his name. In fact, I believe there was someone else. I want to say was. I think the other. I think the other member, the other person that was supposed to be a part of the OG Bloodline was, I think, if I'm right on this. Yeah, I think it was them. I think it was Zillafat 2, Lance Anoa'i, and if I remember correctly, I believe oh my god, there was one other person, but I can't think of his name. I cannot think of his name, but I think it was supposed to have been Zillafat 2 and Lance Anoa'i. Those were the 2 names. Those were 2 of the 3 names that were pitched to be a part of the OG Bloodline, because we knew that Hikuleo would never join the OG Bloodline because of the fact that his brothers were Tamatonga and Tongaloa, so that wouldn't work out so well. But obviously those ideas were kaput, and they added CM Punk into the OG Bloodline. That right there is another piece of evidence that proves the end of the Bloodline story. Another piece of evidence is actually, if you can believe it, is none other than the Raw premiere on Netflix. Tribal Combat Solo versus Roman. This was one of the most anticipated matches that nobody expected. Nobody expected to see Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns go at it for the right to be known as the Tribal Chief. This led to Roman Reigns picking up the massive victory, and the moment The Rock handed Roman the Ulafala and embraced him, this was proof, and we knew full well this was the proof that the end of the Bloodline story had just arrived. Once Jacob Fatu became the United States champion, that was when obviously we knew once we knew that Jey Uso and Jacob Fatu had won their respective titles at WrestleMania, and the moment that Paul Heyman stabbed Roman Reigns in the back, that right there was the nail in the nail in the box that the end, that it was done. It was done. The Bloodline story was done. Everybody is going their separate ways, or so we thought. Obviously, we saw last night at Night of Champions in Riyadh. We saw that Tongaloa and Hikuleo, or now obviously Tala Tonga, have decided to join forces with Solo as the United States champion. The question now becomes should Solo Sikoa continue the Bloodline story, or should everybody just go their separate ways? And in my opinion, I feel like everybody should just go their separate ways. Think of how much more dominant JC Mateo or Jeff Cobb could be if he were to be on Raw. He could go after the Intercontinental title currently being held by Dominic Mysterio, and he could be one of the most dominant Intercontinental champions of all time. We could see Tongaloa go to NXT for all we know, and he could have himself a run at the NXT Heritage Cup, and we could see Hikuleo just do his own thing on SmackDown and just be free. But Solo Sikoa is not having it. He doesn't want everybody to go their separate ways. He wants the family together as a whole. Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu, Naomi, who is the wife of Jimmy Uso. He wants the whole family to band together and run WWE into the next generation, into the new era, into the next era of WWE. And honestly, I think it's a dumb idea, because of the fact that the last time Solo was a champion, he was NXT North American champion, but only for about a week. Imagine his reign as the United States champion. Plus, think about this. Who's to say that Jason Mateo won't turn his back on Solo Sikoa? Who's to say that Tongaloa won't pull that trigger? Who's to say that Tala Tonga won't pull that trigger? Maybe we might see Tama Tonga pull that trigger at some point. But I think, in my opinion, I feel like another reason why Solo is trying to bring the Bloodline story back is because he wants to ensure that the story continues, so when his kids and Jay's kids and Jimmy's kids, and Roman's kids, when all these kids of of the Anoa'i family, when they say that they want to get into professional wrestling, into WWE, the story could, will continue, and we could potentially see them become champions at some point. But I don't know if that's really the reason, or if there's something else. But in my opinion, I think it's a dumb idea. Everything that I just said, War Games, WrestleMania 39, WrestleMania 40, the Raw premiere on Netflix, SummerSlam 2023, all of these, all these moments in time that I just mentioned is evidence that the Bloodline story, little by little, piece by piece, was being removed, and it was going to be the end of an era. I think Solo wants to usher in a new era on SmackDown with him as the United States champion. I have no doubt in my mind that everybody is going to be gunning for Solo. Jacob Fatu, Jimmy Uso, LA Knight, Andrade, potentially who else? Ray Phoenix. There's a lot of people who want the U.S. title. Even Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre. Even though Drew's been out for a minute now, Drew McIntyre still wants that shot at the United States title. Honestly, there's really no telling. There's no telling what will happen next. Do I believe that Solo Sikoa should continue the Bloodline story? No, I don't believe it, because I think it's just a waste of time, and it's a waste of content for WWE. And the way I see it, I think the only way that the Bloodline story could truly come to an end is with this upcoming WWE draft. There's been a lot of rumors that the draft could be happening as soon as, literally as early as, potentially after WWE Evolution in a few weeks. Is it possible? Who knows? But again, if the entire Anoa'i family, if they all go their separate ways, Solo's crew, if they all go their separate ways, potentially, one goes to Raw, one goes to SmackDown, one goes to NXT, whatever. Then I feel like that'll truly be the end of an era for the Bloodline story. It'll truly signify the end of arguably what is considered to be the greatest story ever told in WWE. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it really going to happen? We will have to wait and see. But with that being said, that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more WWE topic videos in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.